Now, today, we've got access to all of the information we could possibly need to be successful. There's no barriers. But the thing that can capture people now is their ability to filter the information. So now your success is based upon how well you can filter information, not the access to the information.
Welcome to another powerful episode of Keep the Change. And today I've got one of my favorite people on the planet, and I don't say that lightly. Chris Robinson is the Executive Vice President of Maxwell Leadership, and I am so proud, grateful, honored to have him join me for some time here to talk about his new ventures and leadership and family, and we'll get a little faith in there too. Welcome everybody to Keep the Change. And Chris, thank you for being here with me today, my friend.
Absolutely, Bart. Thank you so much for having me. It's always fun and just an honor to be with you and spend time with you. I enjoy it each and every single time. And, every time I see you, I think back about the time that we met in one of the most significant times when we came and we met at a country club and we hung out and got a chance to know each other. And we've been hanging ever since, man. I appreciate you greatly and just love seeing your growth. And I'm just excited to be on here with you today.
No, you too. We had some time before we hit record and talked about our businesses and our journeys. And one thing about Chris is, are you still doing coaching, Chris, on your own? Do you still have time to do our?
No, not right now.
Well, hopefully that probably won't change. Your schedule's going to get more busy, not less. But man, that moment I had with him just to give me some wisdom of Robinson was fabulous. And we'll hopefully give you, the audience, some opportunity here in this time we're together. So, Chris, a lot of people know who you are, man. You got a big team. You're leading a big group. But some of those folks who are on a different planet don't know who you are. So here's the Chris Robinson story.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I'm Chris Robinson, currently right now the Executive Vice President of the Maxwell Leadership Certified Team. So I speak, I coach, I train. I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm married. It will be 21 years here in just a couple of weeks. And I have 6 kids. I've got triplets that are 16 years old. I've got a single that is 12, and then I've got twins that are turning 9 in about a week. And so lots of busy stuff going on, man.
Dude, we could talk about 16-year-old triplets all day long. You have some stories?
Oh, buddy, do I got them? Oh, my goodness.
What I do, I look at people's characters, of course, but you can never tell the character of a person from distance unless you look at their families, right? Yeah. That is the gift. That is because this is a gift. All these kiddos you have and all the blessings I have on my side and Mary's combined are gifts. And I see how you are. I see who your kids are. I see the character of your kiddos, and it just shines for who you are as a man, which is our most important role. Being a father and husband, right? Yeah, so I didn't ask you this before we got together. You know how I am. I'll throw a curveball once in a while. But what's the greatest thing you learned from being a parent?
Greatest thing I learned from being a parent, that's a tough one because I'm still learning every single day because I've got them in 3 different phases. I've got the preteen, I've got the teens, and I've got the ones that aren't quite there yet. And what I would say is that, it's each level or each age group, people ask, does it get easier with triplets? Because I'll see families with twins or triplets. They're like, does it get easier? I'm like, no, it never gets easier. It gets different. And, for me, it's been an incredible journey. They are great kids and, they do great in school, they're great in sports and don't cause any trouble. But it's just really been amazing. I think one of the most touchy moments I had here recently was that the kids did a school project, and part of that project, they had to do a presentation. And one of the questions was, who is somebody in your life that you admire for what they accomplished? And 2 of the 3, said dad, The third one said some runner that she wants to be like, but I just thought, oh my goodness, how awesome, because there's the days of being a parent where you're like, what am I doing? Am I doing this right? Like, this is, when they do things or say things, you're just like, oh my goodness, like, what am I doing? Am I doing this? And it's a test of life. And
Yeah.
so, I love doing it, love being a father, and it truly is a blessing. It really is.
And I have a thought that, again, I've only been married 10 years. I was married previously, but I found a love story 10 years ago. And we just renewed our vows, as I told you offline. And that was amazing. And yet, what I want to do is shout out. We just had Mother's Day. Father's Day is coming up here pretty quick. But I want to say, here's to you, Mrs. Robinson. So tell us a little bit about Mrs. Robinson. You don't have to give private
Yeah.
things, these secrets. No, no. But tell how does someone, because you travel a lot, she's
Yeah.
supportive of you. She's obviously an incredible mama. Tell us about her a little bit and her incredible qualities that have
Yeah.
allowed her to walk side by side with you.
Yeah, I mean, incredible woman. She has understood the calling and the purpose of my life from the very beginning. And it was really with her, and I talk about it in my book that's coming out. One of the most defining moments in my life was, sitting on a curb after being pulled over by the police. And, up until that point, I'd had two DUIs. And here we were on this night, still out drinking on a Halloween night. And I remember that night, she asked me probably one of the most powerful questions that I've ever been asked in my life. Still to this day, when I ask myself this question, I can see exactly where I was at. I can see what I saw in that moment. And it was truly amazing. But she asked me this question because I had, two DUIs up until that point, was still drinking, still, being a kid. And she asked me the question, could you imagine what life would be like without alcohol? And I'm sitting there in a clubhouse drinking, and I had to be drunk at the time, but I had this moment of clarity to where I saw it. I had a glimpse of what that would look like. Now, I would love to say that, the skies parted, we walked away, and I never drank again for that moment because shortly after that, we were pulled over, you know, after the party. And here I am. I'm on probation. I've got two DUIs. I was not drinking, but I'm still on the curb on probation. And I'm going, this is it. I'm going to jail. This is it. This is my time. And I had resolved the fact that I was going to jail at that moment. And there was a call over the policeman's airwaves. It was a friend of my girlfriend at the time, wife's sister, that was another police officer. He heard her name and said, hey, let her go and let them get a ride home. And after that, man, that was it. That was, I felt like my grace. And, it's been, what, 24 years since I've had a drop of alcohol.
Oh
Uh,
my gosh.
2001, October of 2001 was the last time I had a drop of alcohol. And, she's been there the entire time. She's been there to support me in the different businesses and the different adventures that I like to go off on. But more importantly, she knows my calling. She knows my purpose. And she just pushes me to add value to people. So
Mm.
incredible woman.
Oh my gosh. Well, you know what? You've never been really public about that.
Yeah.
I never knew that, man. And obviously, you know my story. And thank you so much for the courage to share that because that's where we can make such an impact. You make impact all your life. You've done it all your life, and that by who you are and whose you are. But that message right there, somebody's listening to this and thinking, oh man, last week I got pulled over. This guy's running this big business. There's something about that. I'm not being my full potential, all that. So thank you for sharing that. That's so powerful. About 2013, I had a calling to start a Celebrate Recovery in our church. And unfortunately, they said no. In 2020, they asked me to do it. And I said yes. And I started to Celebrate Recovery. Next month, I'll have 40 years of sobriety, one day at a time. And it's just such a gift. But my wife is a normie. My wife, she never partied. She was the good girl. She was a rule follower. And she came on this ministry that's not just for alcoholics, it's for anybody. Hurts, habits, hangups, insecurity, neurotic, emotional, whatever. You can join Celebrate Recovery. It's for all people. And she joined alongside of me. And at first she'll tell you, I joined because I wanted to support my husband.
Right.
And now she'll say, I joined because I found my own things to work on. Right.
Right. Yeah.
But I just admire her so much for saying, like your wife, I'm going to support you. I'll be next to you. Got to
Right.
make better decisions, though, buddy.
Right.
Right. I
Indeed.
get it. And the wisdom of our partners is so evident in those two examples. So shout out to her and congratulations for coming up on 21. Talk to me about what's going on in your business world. I know you've got a new project. I want to shout out to that in a minute. But dude, you were at one point selling warranties, I think,
Yeah.
right?
Correct. Yeah.
And that's our car connection. But tell us about that journey and how you followed the plan. You were an example of the plan. You're a product of the product. And now you're leading all these folks. Give folks the history of how you did this.
Yeah, so, currently right now, I lead over 58,000 certified members around the world. I mean, it's a lot of people. I'd love to say that, hey, they're all following me, but it's because of our founder, John Maxwell, the number one leadership guru in the world. And, I just have the privilege of stewarding and being a model of what he represents. And so, but it started many years ago. I started out getting mentorship from John Maxwell, from very far distance, and that distance was sitting inside the basement of a church, watching a VHS video of John Maxwell, taking notes as fast as I possibly could to go back into that call center and actually apply those principles to my life. And, I fell in love with personal growth and development. I began to read more. I began to go to conferences and events. And eventually I went to one and, there was someone that said, hey, these people get paid to speak. And that was the first time it had ever entered my ears. And I thought, oh my goodness, what is this magical universe of getting paid to speak? I want to do that. Well, I didn't know anybody that did that. And of course, at that time, there's no plans or thoughts of how to get there. And, but I grew where I was at. So I began implementing workshops inside of the company I was working for. Every single sales meeting was a motivational session, man. I was putting together a lesson plan each week. I was doing full 1 day workshops in there. I was participating in Toastmasters. And I had this desire to be a speaker. And, I continued to progress on. And eventually, the Maxwell certification came along. I knew that I knew from the moment that I looked at the website that this was my bridge to personal growth and development. And I joined the team. I got in there and they had the tools and resources and the guidance that I needed in order to speak and train for a living. And I did that. But then in addition to that, I continued to give back to the community. I continued to serve. I continued to add value. And they asked me to be one of the first faculty members to actually teach for the team. And that led to me becoming the faculty president. And a couple of years later, that led to me becoming the vice president of the organization. So it's been an incredible journey of watching John on VHS to flying in jets and meeting presidents with him around the world.
How about that? And Chris has spoken on stages with some of not only John, but some of the elite speakers in the world, not just on this ground in this country, but all over the world.
Yeah.
And you are so respected, man. It's just what you see. If you're watching this on YouTube's, what you see is who he is, what you get. He's the real deal.
Man, there is no kind of words that you can say to me. The biggest fear that I have is that there's a gap between who I am on stage and who I am in person. And for you to say those words of I am the same on stage as I am in person, man, that just lights my soul up.
Man, thank you. I'm honored to do that. And I'm honored to be hanging here. And I told Chris before we even started, I just want a half hour with you, bro. I mean, I just got a man crush on Chris Robinson. I got to tell you, I miss him. So, and I miss his leadership and his mentorship. And yeah, so this is so powerful for me too. So let's get to it. Let's talk about, you've got a project, man. One thing I heard from you this morning when I said, what's going on in your world? Which is one of the questions I ask all my coaching clients. Tell me what's on your mind. You got one thing.
Yeah.
And that is this incredible journey that you've been on. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So the one thing that's on my mind, I said there's two things, but the one thing that's in front of it right now for the moment, because the number one thing for me always is, our Maxwell certified team
Of
members.
course.
That's my heartbeat. Every single day I wake up and figuring out how I can add value to them, how I can create resources, make things easier. But I've got a project with a brand new book. And this book started about a year ago. I had no intentions on writing the book. I actually went to go work with a consultant to look at how we could potentially work with the Maxwell team. And I'm sitting in 2 days of a book writing and selling consultation, 2 days with just five other people, a very high end event and a great team that we're working with. And, I was going through day one and I had no intentions of writing a book. And then on day two, I come back. I'm sitting on the bus stop. Or I guess it's not actually a bus stop, but I was sitting on a bench waiting for Uber. Okay, and the idea came to me. The idea came to me, and so I had the outline for this book. I go in that morning. I write out the outline, and then they look at me and they say, "Yeah, that's it." So the book is called From Drift to Drive. It's a high achiever's guide to break the chains of complacency. Now, I know when you hear the words complacency, there's typically a lethargic kind of term that kind of ties to it, like it's because of apathy or because somebody's lazy. But as I began to research and study it, look for it, what I found is that complacency is not laziness at all. And if you called, you know, 99 people, Bart, and said, "Hey, I just want to know, is Chris Robinson complacent?" I'm going to guess that 99 people are going to say, "No way, Chris Robinson is complacent." But here's what I found, Bart. When I redefine complacency in this book, I redefine it as a secret place of satisfactory success. A secret place of satisfactory success. It's that areas of our life that we're good at that we don't have to think about anymore and that we haven't sharpened in a long time. And what happens is our good becomes our danger. You see, the Japanese have a term for it called sensu, which is victory disease. And if you go back to the original term of complacency, it means careless danger. It means careless security, careless security. So it means that, hey, you can do these things without thinking about them. You've done well, you've progressed, but you aren't working on it, and that careless security can cause danger in your life. And so this book walks you through a 7 step framework on how to break that chain. And this framework is the framework that I've used to achieve everything I've ever set my mind to do. It's amazing. Great. It was phenomenal, just fun time working with the team putting this together.
Oh, I bet. So, can you share some of those insights, some of those
Yeah,
sevens?
absolutely, absolutely. It's a 7 step cycle. I'll share all seven, and
Oh,
you got to
perfect.
get the book to get the details because there is a lot of practical application tools and resources that I give inside the book. But the 7 steps look like this. The first step is clarity. You cannot have what you do not see. And where
Mm,
most people get stuck or complacent is that they don't see where they're going. So we create a term inside the book called, when we want to diagnose complacency, is complacency myopia, which is an
ooh,
optometry term for nearsightedness. That's the type of person that they're very busy, but they have no idea where they're going. And then there's complacency hyperopia. This is the person that can see the big vision, but they have no idea where to start. And so the goal is to get 20/20 vision on what it is that you want so that you can take the steps to move towards it. So the first step is clarity. The second step is gathering. Now, this is the most dangerous step inside the book because, this is a place where people can get ready to get ready, Bart. Those people that are, "Oh, I'm getting ready, I'm getting ready." And it's one more book, one more certification, one more video, one more podcast. But we do have to gather those. But I teach you a method of which to gather this content in a specific way so that you can streamline through it and not get stuck. The third phase, Bart, is you go clarity, you go gathering. The third phase is filtering. Now, filtering is so important. Now, in past years, in the early 1900s, mid 1900s, your success was based upon the information that you had access to. Now, today, we have access with these things right here. We've got access to all of the information we could possibly need to be successful. There's no barriers. But the thing that can capture people now is their ability to filter the information. So now your success is based upon how well you can filter information, not the access to the information. So I teach you how to filter through my reading process and how I get through content material. The fourth phase that we have is guidance. Now, guidance is so important. And a guide is a person that is gone where you have gone and can help you get to where you want to get. And so inside of there, I talk about guidance and how that matters in our life. Our next step inside of there is relationships. This is something we were just talking about at the beginning of this call, Bart, is, at the end of the day, everything in life happens based on relationships. And if you are going to move in a certain direction, you need to make sure that you're lining up, locking arms with people that are moving in that same direction. So you can have a dream and you can be around people, but if they're going in different directions, they're going to slow you down to get to where you want to go. And so get inside the right rooms. After relationships, we have, of course, action. Okay. Action is so important. I wish that I could skip and just go to action, after you get clarity. But here's the thing that happens is there's a misstep that happens whenever you skip these other steps, that you don't get to the action phase. And so action is the most important, but I teach a two-step process in there that helps you go, once you've gathered your information, and I call it learn a little bit and do a little bit.
Mm.
We don't want you to get caught in that analysis paralysis. And then, of course, our next phase is evaluation. And so it's one thing to take action, but do you actually take time to pause, reflect, and to think into what it is that you did and what got you there and how you can get it better? And that loop continues over and over again until you get to where you want. And so I'm very excited about the book, about the process. And, John Maxwell did the foreword. Eric Thomas, phenomenal motivational speaker, he endorsed the book as well. Jeff Henderson, Valerie Burton. It's just, I'm very excited about this project. Can't wait to get in the hands of people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that is so exciting. And the journey that you're on, the strategy that you've taken, the intentional game plan that you put into place so you can get this book into people's hands is very impressive. So I want to go back to a few of those and very selfishly. So what I love about clarity, which I talk a lot about years ago, I wrote Keep the Change. And in it, I talk about step one, admit. Because you and I can't get anywhere. Like you started this time off with us admitting that, hey, my wife mentioned that to me and I admitted I had to do something about it. And I believe when I hear clarity, I hear it's time to admit. It's time to come to the table. Right. I get an opportunity. This is going to be so cool, Chris. Just got back from Coronado. In June, I'm going with our church to Zambia. Oh, wow. And to do a mission trip. And I'm so excited because I get to speak to men who really struggle with addiction there. But I'm going to talk about leadership, and I'm going to talk about leadership within themselves. Sure, and we're going to talk about admit, believe, decision. Right. Three things. But it comes with that first thing is clarity. Get that clarity. What do you want? Are you going toward what you want or away from it? So powerful. Give us some thought on in your life. Where you mentioned your wife's discussion, and and I want the audience to get this. Chris was not born with a spoon. He was on the path to find out how could he make sure he give his family the best opportunity that they had. He did, and when I say a product of the product, if you're a Maxwell Leadership person, you totally get that. We drank the Kool-Aid on what that means, but if you're not, you don't get that. Chris found mentors. First of all, he got clear, and I want you to go into that a bit. But he found people that he said, I'm going to do exactly what they're doing. Right. And some of these people that are shout outs, of course, John C. Maxwell, the best leadership guru in the world, one of the best humans on the planet, having him by your side and flying on planes with him and be able to spend time with him. Good for you. Paul Martinelli, the original founder of Maxwell Certified Team, and an incredible soul. And he saw something in you and handpicked you. And Mark Cole, the president of Maxwell Leadership and the CEO of Maxwell Leadership, and an incredible soul. So you've had these people,
Yeah.
plus the people that you mentioned that are endorsing your book. Talk to me about that, the piece in the first chapter about clarity and how those people, as you walk the path to follow the product with the product, did I say that right? As you follow the path to be a product of the product, what was it you heard from them that made you stay right in the lane?
Well, that made me stay right in the lane. I really picked it up years ago before even getting proximity to any of those incredible guys that you mentioned. All those guys, tremendous impact on my life. But I had found that was my learning style by getting around others, because some things are caught, some things are taught. And so if I could just get around these people of greatness that are doing great things, then I'm going to catch some things that I could not, from just a book or from, being at an event. So I was doing things in order to serve them, in order to get in the room. But when it comes to clarity, I love what you said, the first step being admit. And there's an exercise that I walk my son through that I think really exemplifies that a lot. And, he loves baseball. And, I train them that every single day that ends in day, you need to do something to move towards your goal, dream, or vision. Every single day that ends a day. Now, it doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be massive. It doesn't have to be 100 phone calls, Bart, like we talked about. It can be one phone call. Did you do something today? Did you do something today to move towards that goal you have, to start that business, to, improve your relationship, to, overcome an addiction? Did you do one thing today to do that? And so he loves baseball, and I take him in phases where we're getting prepared for different tournaments. He's getting ready to go to New York for 2 weeks to play in Cooperstown, and leading up to it, I have him always journal what he does every single day relating to baseball. And so he has to either read about baseball, watch videos on baseball, hit, field, practice. He's got to do something in there. And he writes down each day what he does. But here's the thing that drives him wild, that I make him do, is if he doesn't do something that day, it's okay. But I want him to do exactly what you're talking about, Bart, and I want him to admit it. And so what I have to have him do is write down these words: I did nothing today. Now, it drives him wild. Like, he will sprint out. If I tell him at 10 o'clock at night, I need you to write down, I did nothing today, he will sprint out. He'll go do some laps. He'll go do something, but he won't do it. So I've had to wait till the next day to tell him, and it infuriates him. But I think if we all begin to look at every single day and just jot down, hey, what did I do today? I said that I want this, but what did I do today to move towards this? And then if we can admit to ourselves, I did nothing, oh my goodness, the accountability that would occur, the movement that we would have if we can simply just get clear and admit it, Bart. I love you starting out with admit it.
Oh my gosh, Chris, I'm thinking of this weekend with all the family and the amazing weekend. It was just perfect, as I told you offline. And one of the things that really came to me, Chris, I grew up this weekend because, see, I always wanted what was at the wall.
Right.
Over there is my goals.
Right.
In between here and there, there's a gap, but I would live there.
Right.
I would forget here.
Right.
And this weekend, seeing Sawyer, one of my granddaughters, chuckling with Kima, with my 9-year-old granddaughter, and being best friends, even though they see each other once a year. Seeing my wife in front of a group of all our family, 35 of us, looking at me like I'm like, I can't even explain it. She's so massively in love with me. You could see it in her eyes from the pictures. Seeing that my daughter in the front row being there for us. All the gifts. So where I'm going with this is I learned this weekend, I know it's going to sound weird to the audience, of being in the now only.
Wow.
And I love these two acronyms, win now. Right. What's important now? And there's no other way than what's important now.
Right. Yeah.
In that, like you're doing with your book and like you're doing with your team, you're focused on these. You're not focused on 12 things.
Yeah.
I'm a little ADD, man. I got a list of 28 things I got to do today. No, it's not going to happen.
Right.
There's what's important now is three things. What
Right.
I'm doing with you in the moment, nothing else matters. And I think I changed because of that. And for somebody with ADD, it's hard that I'm not thinking the future.
Right.
But that hasn't really worked that well for me. And I think I've missed life because I haven't been in the now. Why do you and I have 24 years and me with my season? It's because I lived one day at a time.
Right. Yeah.
Like you said to your son, what did I do today? Right? That's the question. Give it to me again.
What did I do today? But the answer,
I love it. Love it.
do something every day that ends in day.
Love it. So let's go to the second one. Thank you for allowing me to share that. Let's go to that second one, gathering.
Yeah.
For me, every Monday night, we gather a group of people that are just in a family that are there for the reason of they just want to be better on this journey, man. And it's so cool to hear people just like you were so honest when we first started about your journey, get together every week and just cough out their things that are on their mind, but they're among people that they trust, that they love, that they mentor them, that they mentor. Yeah, we're built for community. That's kind of what I hear with that. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so gathering is more so about content and information that you need, but what you're talking about is the relationship step.
Yeah.
And you are 100% right in that. And as I talk about relationships in the book, I share a story about a time that I was in the wrong group. And, very early on in my career, I was, so excited about speaking. And I joined the traditional networking group and I had, a financial planner, an insurance person, a mortgage person, and all the local service businesses. And I'm in there, kind of this oddball of speaker, trainer, coach that nobody had never knew anybody that had done that before for a living. And each week we would get the opportunity to go in and actually, share about our business. And then everybody would give feedback on it. So every single week leading up, I'm adding value. I mean, I'm giving ideas, to the advisor. I'm giving ideas to the mortgage person. I'm giving ideas. And I mean, I'm all in. And then my time comes up and I go inside that room. I'm writing on the whiteboard. And, I am just jamming. I give a full presentation. At the end of it, it was silent. Nobody had anything to share. And everybody just kind of said, oh, well, good. That looks like a good plan. And I was heartbroken, Bart. I was walking out, and my friend Jason puts his hand on my shoulder as we're walking out, and he says, Chris, everything you talked about up there was amazing. He said, but no one in the room understands what you're trying to do. He said, Chris, I think you're in the wrong room. And that hurt, that shattered my heart. But he was right, because when I had joined the Maxwell team and I got inside the room with other people that were trying to go in that direction, oh goodness. It was life-giving. Every conversation I had, they understood it. They understood the language. It was amazing. And so that's when I knew that, hey, I don't need to just be around a room of good people. I need to be around a room of good people that share the same vision and values as I do. And when that happens, explosive growth is possible.
Oof, that is so powerful because of the fact that how many times have you and I tried to change that room? Right?
Yeah.
And sometimes it works,
Right.
And sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes we just need to see, okay, where can I have the most influence, right?
Yeah.
Where can I build the best relationships? You and I were having this discussion, like you said, when we started off, and I'm saying, and I shouldn't say this because I teach phone calls. But I don't love making phone calls, and I don't love making cold calls. And I've got somebody helping me with funnels. I've got somebody helping me with as a coach myself. I've got my coach. I've got somebody helping me in a lot of different areas of my life. And those are all good. But the most important piece you said, Chris, was it's in your building relationships. That's what you're great at. That's what you got to run with. That's what you can't stop doing. remember, with all the stuff going on in the world, AI, EI, BI, CI, whatever it is, we
Right.
kind of understand it's all about people until it's
Right.
not,
Right.
right?
That's correct.
And I just happen to have a gift of people. So why am I drifting from what I'm the best at? I'll hire other people to do the other stuff.
That's right.
If I don't have enough relationships, I don't have enough resources to hire people.
Right.
So
That's right.
so thank you for sharing that. That is so good. Now let's go back to gathering.
Okay. Good. Good. Gathering. Yeah.
Be deeper.
Gathering. Yeah. So with gathering, it's really about gathering information that's aligned. What tends to happen is we learn in a scattered manner, meaning that you may be reading a book. Let me just take a pop quiz here, Bart. I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Oh no.
And I know you got multiple books going right now, multiple videos that you're watching. Give me a book that you're reading. Okay. All right. Which is
We'll put it right up there, buddy.
Self-Aware Leader. All right. Great. Okay. And what videos are you watching online right now?
I'm watching a little Ed Milet. There's not a ton of videos. I'm doing
Okay.
some Jim Edwards stuff.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Good. Okay. All right. So John, Jim, and Ed, three different complete topics.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So in the gathering phase, what I do is I teach you really how to layer your learning. And
Okay.
so what you do is it's called the BVACC method: books, videos, audios, courses, conferences. All right.
Okay.
And you want everything, whatever your goal is, you want everything to line up in that specific topic.
Okay.
So whenever I'm going into a topic, I'm gathering books, I'm gathering videos, audios, courses, certifications, whatever, but they're all lined up.
Love
Right?
it.
So I don't deviate side of that, because now what's going to happen is the language is going to come faster, the scenarios are going to become repetitive. I'm layering my learning and I'm gathering information. So when you're gathering, it's really about gathering the right resources that line up to where you want to go. And when you do that, I promise you, you're going to move fast. You're going to move fast.
Good. I love that. I love that. And I'm thinking about, in the morning I do my God Time videos, and I love listening. I've got a couple different sales books I'm listening to that are classics that give great information, as you know. But I believe they're aligned in the same path. How can I gather information to serve more people and add more value to more people? Right. My intentions are good. Right. Where I get off track, like another book I'm reading is, of course, Unreasonable Hospitality by Will Gorda, because it's such good topic for car dealerships, which are my main client, right? Yeah. So I try to stay within that. I'm kind of boring that way, man. Yeah. I listen to it and think, how can this help a car dealer? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep. That's correct. That's correct.
Not an insurance company, a car dealer.
Right. But if you get a little bit more precise and stack everything for a week, I'm telling you, your confidence and what you deliver is going to be greater. But just try this next week of just everything that you read, everything that you listen to, everything that you watch, everything that you're thinking about is all lined up. And oh my goodness, you're going to power through the content. You're going to feel more confident in your delivery of it. You're going to have a better understanding of it. Things are going to move faster if you can stack that information.
You know what's so great about this? Our audience, some of them are car dealers, some of them are sales managers, service managers. Our audience are a lot of people from a lot of different worlds. When we just did the Keep the Change podcast, we had people that really love to hear people's stories of victory, like you're talking about here. But I'm saying what I'm hearing, and I'm hoping is, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a leader of an organization, if you're just got promoted to be a manager, if you're someone who's been a leader for a long time, if you're in sales, dude, get this book, because these are life lessons you must have to build your emotional intelligence to be able to serve the people that you serve better. Good stuff. Good. Talk to me about filtering and deeper on that.
Yeah. Well, filtering is really, it's that process of getting the meat off the bone, because now that you've gathered all your information, some people get overwhelmed and they stop. And so really inside of the filtering chapter, I teach you a reading process that I do, how you can consume more content faster. I can give you one right now, Bart, and it's a real simple strategy. Now, look, this is high tech, Bart. This is
Okay.
a high-tech strategy. I mean, get your computer out, get your iPad out, get everything out. But this method right here could change everything for you by filtering this way. All right. There's a method I teach called AHAB, which is simple. Always have a book. All right. Because look, we have a choice in our downtime. We can either look at this thing or we could pick up this thing and get through a couple pages. And, when you're going through that process of always having a book, again, if you're focused and you're got the right books in hand, what happens is 2 pages sitting at a kid's baseball practice. Great. 10, 15 pages, waiting for the doctor's appointment, couple more pages. Oh my goodness. I mean, think about all the times that you pick up this when you could pick up this and how much further you would get. But that's just a simple way. But I talk about reading in that chapter and how to filter through my reading process, which I've developed over years for myself because I was getting around very successful people and I was asking the question that we all ask. Hey, what's a good book that I should read that you enjoy? Oh, and I was top of the class, Bart. I'd be first to order it, and I would order the book, and I would get the book, and it would hijack whatever else I was reading. Then now I'm reading this book, and it's a good book, but it had no relevance to where I was going. And so what happened was I changed the question. I stopped asking people what they were reading, and I started beginning to ask successful people how they read. And oh my goodness, I began to learn about speed reading. I began to learn about mind mapping. I began to learn about, playing audiobooks on triple speed and how my mind can retain it. And so I teach those things inside this book. And I mean, yeah, we can help you filter some information.
Unfortunately, for the sake of those commuters that go from point A to point B, they got usually about 45-minute commute. We're pushing it on time a little bit. I don't want to shortcut this for them, but I'm going to ask you these anyhow. Give me some guidance. We're on chapter 4. Talk to me a little bit about guidance.
Yeah, guidance is really about getting with someone that's further ahead of you. And
Okay.
that's really about mentors in your life and how to get a mentor in your life. And so, again, in order for you to grow in any area, you need 3 things. You need knowledge, you need experience, and you need coaching or mentoring. And now there is a coach or a guide for everything. I was playing Fortnite with my kids. I wanted to see what's so great about this game. I jump on there and I did horrible and got killed very quickly. And then my 12-year-old son hands me a book and says, "Hey, here, read this book. This might help you get a little bit up to speed." Well, I read the book and I'm learning some tips, some tactics. And then at the end of the book, it says, "Hey, if you'd like to be coached in this, here's a website." And I thought, a Fortnite coach? And so I began to look online, and it turns out the average Fortnite coach, this is a video game coach, makes $65,000 per year coaching you how to play a video game, right? So it doesn't matter whether it's, a video game, pickleball, which I played for the first time in 2020. 2 days later, I'm in a clinic with the coach because this principle works in my life. Get a coach, get a guide, get a mentor in order to help you get to where you want to go.
Oh, that's so good, so good, so good. And we see so many people trying to do it on their own, man.
Yeah,
and you're one. I've got 5, 6, 7 people that are just wise mentors and have been through it before and are successful and are walking with the same values. And I wouldn't be where I am today in every area of my life. For me, 40 years ago, Chris, it was my sponsor. Right. It was my sponsor, was my first quote unquote coach. And I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't have him talking about get to a meeting, live one day at a time, be careful of your expectations. All of that led me to today where I've got Chris Robinson. And I've got other folks in my life that are mentors for me in my life. So thank you. We talked about relationships. Don't want to discount that one, but that's huge. Let's get into actions. Let's talk about actions and tidbits. We can talk about picking up that mat and walking.
Yeah, when it comes to action, it's a 2-step mantra: learn a little bit and do a little bit. What happens with most people is they got 2 speeds. It's either, hey, I'm all in or I'm all out. And
Mm.
so if we can find this balance in between of, hey, I just need to learn a little bit and I just need to do a little bit. And when you begin to take action, what happens is action reveals answers.
Mm.
Action reveals answers. But most people stop because of what I call the twins, the fraternal twins of inaction, perfection and procrastination.
Oof.
And so if we can overcome those, because at the root of those two things is really fear. If we're
Yes.
really boiling it down, it really boils down to fear. And so in that chapter, we talk about, how you can take action and how to get moving forward.
Oh,
So,
that's so good. Thank you so much for that. It reminds me of every Monday on Maxwell Leadership team. If you're a mentor, you get to hang out with Chris. So there's a little plug for Maxwell Leadership, and you really do. I mean, live. And it's so interesting because he does a lesson, and then after that, you do a Q&A.
yeah,
And people will ask you questions that are left field. And talk about baseball, man. He gets the ball on the bat, and I'm thinking, where did he come up with that answer? He's either got fingers on Chat GPT or he's been through this and knows how to do it, which
right.
is true. It's the latter. And it's always such good advice. One thing he said to me when I was kind of all over the map, I had done some stuff for Chick-fil-A, I had done some stuff for a construction company, and he said, Bart, you've been in automotive for 40 years, man. Stay in your lane. LeVar Ball said that once about somebody, but it was different this time. And I've stayed in my lane, and what happened? My J curve started to pop up,
Yeah, yeah,
right? And it was the best short advice. Chris is so pragmatic, and his wisdom is it's right there. And again, if you join Maxwell Leadership, join mentorship so you can get on a call with Chris every Monday. It's worth its weight in gold. Last thing we're going to talk about is evaluating. So
yeah.
what's that done for you to put that into place?
Yeah, when it comes to evaluation, it's really about taking time to reflect on how you got where you got. And, the evaluation piece is really trying to diagnose why you are where you are, but then doing something about it. Because most people diagnose where they are, they think, well, I'm here because of this, or I'm here because of that. And you know what it is. But it's one thing. It's like, one of the stories I tell in the book is about a friend of ours who they were on a family road trip and, they've got kids late night and they're driving through the night and they have a destination. They are going to a city and they are on the road, but a little rumbling in the middle of the night turns out they decide that they need to go out and evaluate the car because it's come to a halt. Well, they came out to the car and sure enough, they've got a flat tire. They've evaluated. Here's what people do in life. They evaluate it, they diagnose it, they see the problem, and they stop. Now, had this family not diagnosed it, but then took action to go ahead and put the spare tire on there and keep moving forward, they never make it to their destination. So evaluation is that checkpoint to get you back rolling into evaluation, to gathering, to filtering, to guidance, to relationships, to action, to evaluation again. It's a
Mm.
cycle of life that we have to move through. Yeah.
Love that. If I may, as we wrap here, it reminds me every week I say the same thing. A couple things. One is my favorite quote on the planet: you can get everything you want if you help enough people get what they want. You walked into a meeting, servitude. I'm a servant. I'm all about servitude. I'm all about adding value. You said that so many times throughout our time together. And another one is they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. You have this incredible heart where people can tell, man, as we talked about, who you are and whose you are. And thank you for that. And also these 4 questions, which I'd like to say I coined, but I'm sure I stole it from John. Number 1 question, what do we do right? And I always like asking that question because it really helps our self-esteem. And instead of saying what I did wrong, what I do right, find victories. Like Chris was saying, one phone call, you did what? That right. Congratulations. Oh, you didn't connect with them? You picked up the darn thing and dialed it. One thing. Number 2, what did I learn? John says learners are earners. Sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. That's John's a huge philosophy. And I love that because you can't lose if you're learning. And that's what Chris is all about. Number 3, what must? Tony Robbins said, if you can't do something, you must. When you must, you will. So what must I change? And I'm just knowing that once you read this book, it'll become very clear with you. And lastly, we are not victims on this channel, nor we're victims on this planet, nor are our kids, nor are the people that are part of our community. We are victors. And part of being a victor is to ask yourself, what's my role in any situation? Ask yourself that question and focus on what our role is. Our role is to, number one, get clarity, gather up information, filter it, build massive relationships, get guidance, take action, and evaluate. That's our role. Take action, move your feet, pick up the mat and walk. Woof.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
you
you
so much. Give us one little last bit of advice that if somebody's listening to this and you're in a leadership role as a husband, a father, a budding author, running a company, what's one last bit of advice that you'd like to throw out to the audience to live the life of significance that they're destined to live?
Yeah, well, I mean, everything that's happened up until this point has happened. And today you have a choice to be intentional about the future that you want to create, the person that you want to become. So today is a brand new day. Make a choice today to live the way you want to live.
Perfect. Chris, how do they get a hold of you? How do they get a hold of the book?
Yeah.
How can they
Well, you can get the book everywhere. But if you go to drifttodrivebook.com, that'll get you some incredible bonuses that we have in the pre-launch phase. Book comes out September 2nd, 2025. But you get over $500 in bonuses if you go to drifttodrivebook.com. And then for me, it's chrisrobinsonspeaker.com, chrisrobinsonspeaker.com if you're looking to reach out to me. Thanks, Bart.
Thank you, Chris. So appreciate your time. God bless you and your family and your journey. Thank you for filling our lives and putting us on the right path to making a difference on this planet. I so appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
Everybody, go ahead and share this, and we'll see you next time on Keep the Change.